I'd like to present Dr. Carolyn McKeown.
I want to cry.
It's okay.
He didn't need to take the class twice. You see, every time he came to my class, he taught me. Because my first teacher, Dr. Earl Barnum from the Canoga Park Church of Religious Science in Canoga Park, California, Southern California, if you don't know. And he told us that you must always be humble. Well, I sort of rejected that idea at first because humble? Are you kidding me? So, I mean, like eating humble pie? Just, you know, it was distasteful to me, in a way. And yet I knew it was a good word. But what he told me about that word is this. He said, if you're humble, you remain teachable. So I determined right then that, okay, Barney said so, and I'm going to do it. I'm just going to remain teachable. And what I found in this teaching of the science of mind is that in order to remain teachable, you just have to really be open at the top. Give up your opinions, some crystallized thinking. You know what crystallized thinking is? No. It's rigidity. It's a refusal, refusal to give up whatever it is that you have thought was truth in the past. And so it becomes crystallized, even if it's not the truth. Has anybody ever done that? Yeah. Yeah, we have resistance, we have stubbornness, we have just all kinds of ideas that keep us in a locked place, and certainly not free. I'm doing something very different this morning. I don't know if you've noticed. I've stepped out from behind the lectern. For the first time in, let's see, I've been doing this since 1975. So however many years that is, it's a long time ago. And I've been here, stuck. And I was telling Connie and I were talking, and she's over there, about 2 months ago. And I said, you know, Connie, I've had a thought for a very long time. Actually, it's been a number of years. Because I heard a minister in Southern California at the Palm Desert Church, and he started his lesson, and he's able to walk down the aisle. So he walked down the aisle, and he held up this book. And he said, okay, he said, I don't have a lesson today. I didn't prepare one. And I want you to call out a page number between the pages of 390 and 422. Just one page at a time, please. Okay, 401. Well, keep that in mind. I'm not finished yet. Not ready to start. I haven't finished my story. And then that's how he did his lesson. He would put his finger on that page, 401, and then read it, and then he would tell what he knew about that. And it was the most remarkable thing I think I'd ever watched. And I thought, someday I'm going to do that. Oh, that was a long time ago. And so as Connie and I were talking, I said, I have this idea, and I told her about it. I told her about Joe's talk, and she said, oh, I would love to hear that. And I said, well, okay. I said, I'm speaking July 22nd, and I'm going to do that. So for 2 months, I've been thinking about that. And I refused to sit down at my computer and do a lesson, prepare a lesson. I had to not do that. I had to talk to myself that I could do this. I could stand in front of you naked and unafraid. Somebody knocked on Jesus' door or something like that. It's somewhere in the Bible. But as I began to really listen to what was going on within myself, I couldn't believe what the committee was saying to me. My mother, certain other people in my life. My sister, she was my greatest critic. Just the words of "you're not enough." Who do you think you are? You can't do that. What happens if you don't have anything to say? And then the other side of me would say, have you ever run out of words, Carolyn? No. When you do a counseling session, do you prepare for that? Do you take your notes? No. When you get up to do the meditation for church, the center, do you take a written treatment and speak that? Are you kidding me? No, I've never done that, ever, in my life. So why can't I do this? And the answer was, I didn't trust myself. After all these years of being taught that there's this great power and an intelligent power, a universal wisdom within me, and I don't trust myself to use it. And then the next thought came to me was, if you don't trust yourself, how you're not trusting the wisdom. You're not trusting the power. You're not trusting this infinite presence, the almighty presence of, it's a universal goodness. A universal goodness. And I'm not trusting it? What is wrong with me? Well, that's what's wrong with you, Carolyn. This is my wisdom self saying to me. It's because you think there's something wrong with you, that you're not enough, that you haven't done enough of this. And so this whole 2 months, I've been building my self-esteem. And after I'll be in the teaching 50 years on January 6, 2019. 50 years. I was young when I...
Still are.
Yeah. I need water. So, that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. So, 401. Come on, pages turn. Oh, first of all, before I do this, I have to tell you about the textbook. How many of you were here a couple weeks ago when Reverend Christine spoke? If you weren't here, you need to go on the website and listen to her talk. It was fabulous. She's my student, and I'm just so proud of her. And then I think, I can't even be proud of her. She's done this herself. I mean, she chose to become a minister. She chose to study. She chose to go into the ministry. She came to me as a fourth-year ministerial student at some point in 1995, I think it was. And she said to me, I know you need an assistant minister. And she said, I'm the person. You are? Oh, well, have you taken the test yet? No, but I'm going to. So she did. And so then she became my assistant minister. But my first teacher, Dr. Barnum, also told me, he said, you know, when you become a teacher, your students will exceed you. And they have. Look at my students. Look at the practitioners in this church. They're just magnificent staff of people, and if you're not using them, you need to. There's not a single practitioner sitting in this room or ministers. I guess you're the only one today, but they're amazing. So, when Christine spoke, she got up and she waved the textbook like this. And she said, if I were deserted on a desert island, this is the book I would want to have. And I thought, oh, well, me too. But then I know a person who had this book, and she's sitting over there. Her name is Jerry Miller, and her husband, and they were on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and they were stalled. And this is what they did. They pulled out, you didn't know about this. I mean, you didn't know about the teaching necessarily, did you? But she had the book. So they picked up the book while they were stalled in the middle of the ocean on this boat that Dale had wanted for years, and she relented. She doesn't necessarily like the ocean, but she did it anyway. And so they read the book, and that's what got them through the dullness of being stranded for I don't know how long, but read her book. It's called One Flew Through the Porthole, a bird? Fish. Oh, a fish flew through the porthole. I couldn't put the book down. It's really great. If you have any, go to Jerry and she'll let you buy one maybe. She probably has some more. So anyway, Christine said that everything that you need is in this book. There's information about the teaching. There's tools. There's meditations. There's a glossary that tells you the definition of the words. There's a concordance in the new ones. This is my new one. It has, I paid $50 for it. It's got gold. And it's leather. And I tried not to write in it, but I noticed when I was thumbing through it that I used pencil. And then I have, Vanna is going to show us. This one. Yeah. This is Dr. Max. Oops. It's well used. And sometimes I'd use it in class in a different year because I've got things underlined, and I love the underlines. I wanted to see what he was thinking and what was important to him and see if it was to me too. So then I talk about that. And then this is mine. I bought this in 1969, January 1969. Cost me $5.10. What are they now? They're a lot, yeah, they're more. I had we were ministers at the Paradise Church, and there was a librarian there, and she saw my textbook, which looked something like Max. And so she took it and she fixed it. She put a new cover on it, and wallpaper or something and tape. So that's all marked up. And then this is also another one. This is leather. It has gold. But this was put out at another year, and this has bigger print. But all the page numbers are the same. And so I use this one. Thank you, Vanna. So, okay. Now, here it is. Oh, that's 400. Okay, I just put my finger on this. We must consciously know that we can use creative power. The more complete such acceptance on our part, the more completely we shall be able to use this power for definite purpose. We should develop a conscious conviction of our ability to know and to understand the way that the mind works. How many know the way the mind works? Okay, you're learning. Okay. Thinking creates a feeling. The feeling pushes the law into motion, and then we have an experience, a manifestation, a demonstration, whatever you want to call that. We shall not be able to do this while we listen to those who deny us or themselves the privileges we wish to enjoy. No one ever yet found a living soul in a dead body or learned that affirmations of life and health will become beneficial by denying any power to them. We all have power. And this, the line about no one has ever found a living soul in a dead body. When my father passed away, they were in New Mexico, and so I had to fly there. And my sister was with me, and we went into the funeral home where his body was lying and stayed. And that was the first time that I realized that the body was not my father. We are living entities using a body, a physical body, but we're not limited to our expression of living by the body. And when we pass, we go on to another expression of life, a different way of being. I really don't know what that is, looks like, but I just know, I just know that this thing that is alive and well in me and you and everyone everywhere never dies. It's the power that is available to all of us, has always been, always will be, and we can't be without it. Okay. Enough said? Okay. Okay, hang on 1 minute. I need a drink. I think I'm nervous.
After 50 years.
I know. Shame, isn't it? What was the number? 416. 416. Okay. And then I want to choose a page after that, and it's not in the 400s, but the reason I chose these pages is because it's the general summary of all of the writings of Dr. Holmes in the textbook. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you about the textbook is that Dr. Bitzer, he was the pastor of the Hollywood Church for 65 or 67 years, something like that. He was 102 when he died. And an amazing, powerful man. And he's told us at a minister's conference that the textbook was written on 2 levels. It was written on the level of the absolute, also on the level of the relative. Now, here's those buzzwords again. What's the absolute and what's a relative? Is that my cousin or what? Oh, no. it's, the absolute, of course, is the all. The Atman, the all, God, universal spirit, divine intelligence, the power that we've been talking about. That's the absolute. That's the level of the absolute. And whenever a practitioner is doing work for you, they're entering into that level of the absolute and turning away from the relative, the experience, the things that are related in the world, the effect. And so I thought, how can that be? I mean, what's he talking about except God in here? And then I turned to the chapter on physical perfection. And he's talking about the relative. He's talking about disease. He's talking about, what causes that. Because somewhere in the textbook he said you must find the cause in order to have a healing. What is causing the disruption in your life? What is causing the lack of ease in your living? And so that always has to come back to some form of idea. Either a crystallized thought that you're living from, I'll never amount to a hill of beans. I don't know how many people I've heard say that. My father told me. Or, I'll never get ahead. Whenever it seems I get ahead, something happens and I don't have anything, or, whatever the affirmation is that we use constantly, then becomes a relative experience, a related experience in our life, because it's a mirror of our thought. So, for what? 16. Well, okay, this is the second paragraph. The chief characteristic of the subjective law is that it is sensitive, creative, and can resolve only from a deductive viewpoint. Being the very essence of sensitiveness, it is compelled to receive the slightest impression of thought. Being creative, it is compelled to act upon this thought, and being deductive, it cannot argue back or deny any use of it that may be made. So I just said that. Isn't that funny how mind works? So this universal subjectivity, once there's a thought, and this is why we have to be so careful about our thoughts. What is it that you're thinking? Stay conscious, stay in the present moment. What is it that is my experience in this moment? If you don't like it, then look at your thought. Don't blame other people out here, or this condition, or that, or the world, or Trump, or whatever. We have to look at our own thought. Because thought is creative. Universal mind's thought is sensitive. It's a subjective law. Sensitive and creative. It'll create whatever it is that we're impressing upon it. And we impress it with our thoughts and feelings. So we have to be just so aware of what it is that's going on. Will somebody keep track? I can't see that clock. It's 5 till? Oh, well, I'm done. Okay, but, okay. I don't have to read it, because Dr. Earl Barnum, my first teacher, in 1969 in first year class told me this: if you are ever in a pinch, or if you don't know how, if you're feeling so bad or something so traumatic you can't do a treatment, memorize this. It's on page 218, second paragraph. And there's some preamble before, but he said, this is what you memorize. Perfect God within me, perfect life within me. Come forth into expression through me as that which I am. Lead me ever into the paths of perfection and cause me to see only the good. And so it is.